Welcome to Portsmouth Now. I'm your host, Rob Lauer, and you're about to see a very special hour-long holiday episode of our show. We're at the opening weekend of Winter Wonderland here at the Portsmouth Art and Cultural Center. On today's show, we'll take a look at this, and we'll look at all of the upcoming holiday events taking place in Portsmouth throughout the month of December. We'll also take a look back at how the Winter Wonderland exhibit all began 45 years ago at Coleman's Nursery in Churchland. And we'll reminisce about the Richmond Miller and Road store, where kids in Virginia from 1940s to the 1980s knew you had to go if you wanted to meet the real Santa Claus. And for the first time on our show, we're going to have musical numbers that'll really get you into the holiday spirit. So stay tuned. You won't want to miss a minute of this very special hour-long holiday episode of Portsmouth Now. Welcome to Portsmouth Now. Well, as we're filming this, it's the Saturday after Thanksgiving, which means it's the opening weekend of Winter Wonderland here at the Portsmouth Arts and Cultural Center. And Gail Paul is here to tell us about dates and times and what's going on this season. Welcome,
Rob.
Gail.
Thank you.
So when do we open and what are the hours?
We're open Tuesday through Thursday from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. Friday and Saturday from 9 a.m. until 8 p.m. and on Sundays from 11 to 5 p.m.
That's a little bit different than in previous years when it was open every weeknight.
That's correct.
So it's just Friday and Saturday nights that we're open till 8.
That's correct.
Okay, now what is the admission?
Admission for Winter Wonderland only is $3.
Okay.
If you're a museum member, it's free. You can also buy a holiday pass, which would include the Children's Museum, Naval Shipyard Museum, and Winter Wonderland. One-time visit to each through December 31st is $12.
That's great. And now the Children's Museum has the same hours you have during the holiday season, so they're open Friday and Saturday evenings as well.
That's right.
Okay, now do you have special events going on throughout the week here?
We have face painting, for example, today. Also today we have pony rides and petting zoo, which will also happen again on December 8th.
Okay.
Old Town HolidayMusic Festival. And then we'll have other activities. The Snow Queen will be here. There's lots of things to see and do.
And some arts and crafts and things like that?
Arts and crafts throughout. So.
Okay, and also Santa's here.
Santa's here every weekend.
All right.
For all those young and old.
Well, great. Now we're going to take a break from us and we're going to go look at behind the scenes, how this all got put up, and also some of the history. Thanks for joining us, Gail.
Thank you, Rob. Good to see you.
Winter Wonderland is a huge display, and unlike other displays at the Portsmouth Art and Cultural Center, installing involves a lot more than hanging pictures, setting out sculptures, or adjusting lights. In fact, the installation begins in mid-October, and it wasn't completed until just a few days ago. Last month, we interviewed Pat Jensen of the Portsmouth Museum, who personally oversees this massive endeavor. Pat Jensen is the supervisor of exhibits at the Portsmouth City Museums. Thank you for joining us, Pat.
You're welcome.
Now, I understand that you are responsible, you and your team, for actually putting up Winter Wonderland every year.
Yes, we are. This is the 9th year that we've done this. And we have 2 exhibit techs and myself, and we get started in October.
So it's a very small team of people.
Yes, it is. We're lucky we have some volunteers this year. We had some sailors from the George H.W. Bush aircraft carrier.
Oh, great.
It was wonderful. They came over and helped us move some of our large items, and if it hadn't been for them, I think we would have had quite a problem.
Yeah, and then the staff here at the Portsmouth Art and Cultural Center, they also help, but they're rather small too.
Yes, it's about 3 of them, and they work on the lighting in the lobby and
I'm just
the
laughing
director.
because I know how much lighting and sound and stuff is brought in here. And when does this all start? When does the Art Center close down, usually?
Usually about the first week or so in October.
Okay.
We strike their art exhibit, get that packed and shipped out.
And that's a job in itself.
Yes, it is. And the curator and her assistant have quite a job on their hands getting that all cleared before we can come in.
And then you start bringing all this stuff in. I guess you bring it in through the front doors and up the elevators and staircases and everything.
Right. What we actually start with is laying the sound, the electrician cords that go and get all of the figures going and the lights going. We hang backdrops. Then we start bringing in the large pieces that you see.
Now, where is all of this stored?
Actually, now it's stored next door on the second floor, what used to be the administration building for the museums. So we have no elevator over there, so it's up and down the stairs.
Wow, I've been in that building, so that's
right.
a trek.
And then we usually bring most of the stuff up these large marble stairs here in the front of the courthouse building because things do not fit in the elevator.
But now for years, where was it kept before? Because this has only been since the Children's Museum of Virginia opened that's been available over there. So where did you keep the stuff in years previous?
It's had many homes. It started out going to Robbie's Hardware, which is now closed. It has been in the compound for the city out on Frederick Boulevard. It has also been at the old Craddock High School.
So that's a lot of stuff to truck in from other locations.
Yes, it is.
So things are easier, I guess.
Very much easier.
But still a lot of work.
Still a lot of work, yes.
So how many days a week do you all work at this? I mean, you're talking about 6 weeks of work pretty much, aren't you?
Yes. Some of us are on duty every day, 7 days, it's one of us is working. We usually try to have at least the 3 exhibits team over here 3 days a week constantly working on it. But we're trying to fit that in with working at Children's Museum.
Because you guys are in charge of all the exhibits in all of the museums
That's
that
correct.
the city owns.
That's correct.
So this is on top of what you normally do.
Yes, it is.
So I guess you're pretty tired by New Year's Eve. And then it's time to take it all down.
Then it goes all back down again, back into storage, and sits and waits for another year.
So how long does it take to take it all down?
It comes down a lot quicker than it goes up. I can tell you that. We can usually have it cleared out in about a week and a half or 2 weeks.
But this is a week and a half of a staff of people working full time.
Yes. Yes, it is.
I just don't think people realize the size of the staff and how much work you guys do.
It's a lot, and there's so many little details that we like to pay attention to. We like to put the snowflakes on the walls, and we're decorating trees, and the miniature houses, and then
you come up with ideas for like little new touches every year, don't you?
Right.
I mean, a few years ago there were some new figurines, and this year you have a whole new exhibit on the second floor, don't you?
That's right.
What is that?
That is Santa's train shop. And we started last year coming up with ideas, I would say, in February. Started sketching, drawing them out, planning them. The exhibits team started working on getting materials. And then we had to work that in with our summer crowds at Children's Museum. So we got that finished and brought it over here, and then we started putting in all the trains. I think the kids are going to love it.
Yeah, it really is cute. It really is. So this really is the capstone of your whole year's work, really.
Yes, it is. It is.
It's certainly worth it. I mean, I know that it's the most popular things that the museum does all year round.
Right. And like I said, we love seeing the grandparents bring their grandchildren in, and we get to hear the stories every year about how they saw it when they were little, and now their grandchildren are seeing it. Well, so it's a joyful time when all those little kids come up.
Yeah, it is. Well, thank you so much for all the work you do, and your team as well.
You're welcome.
Thanks for taking some time off. I know how busy you are. We didn't mean to interrupt your day, but we really appreciate your giving us a little view into what you do here.
We were glad to do it.
Thanks so much, Pat.
You're welcome.
Winter Wonderland began at Coleman's Nursery in Churchland back in 1966. During that year, during the holiday season, the nursery put out in one of their windows a very simple little display. It was a mechanical doll of Santa asleep in a bed, the covers going up and down as he snored. Near him was a little sign, "Do not wake until December 24th. Customers were so charmed by the display that the next year, the nursery added more mechanical dolls. And the next year, more mechanical dolls. Until by 1970, Coleman's Winter Wonderland was attracting thousands of visitors from throughout Virginia. 2 generations of kids here in Portsmouth and throughout Hampton Roads had visits to Coleman's Winter Wonderland as a central part of their yearly Christmas celebration.
So I'm Lisa McCoy McCrate, and I am a Portsmouth girl, so Coleman's Nursery was a very integral part to the holiday season for our families. So I'm Kathy McCoy Collier, and my earliest memory of Coleman's is probably 5th grade. We had moved into Hatton Point when I was in 4th grade, and so we had discovered it that year.
I'm Natalie Kent, and I grew up in Portsmouth, and we would go to Coleman's Nursery annually every Thanksgiving after the big meal.
My name is Mark Ken, and I moved with my parents to Portsmouth from Alabama in '79. My first Thanksgiving here, I was dating my wife Natalie, and she wasn't my wife at the time, but we were dating, and I went over to her parents for lunch, and after lunch, everybody piled in the car and we're heading to Coleman's. And I knew Coleman's because it was right in the heart of church, and I passed it many times, but I didn't go to nursery, so I didn't ever have any experience there. And they said, we're going over there to the Winter Wonderland. I'm like, what? What is that?
It was a tradition. After Thanksgiving dinner, we went there.
So we go, and it was interesting.
I'm pretty sure that my husband did not want to be drugged to Coleman's the first time that we went to Christmas Wonderland.
There were a lot of all kind of little Christmas animated things, and they had different stores set up where you could go in and buy candy, which I love the candy shop that they had there, but it was a strange thing for me my first time.
I think probably one of the first memories that I had, I was probably 6 or 7, and at the time my grandfather was from Boston, and he came down one Christmas season, and we lived close enough that we could walk. We walked up to Coleman's nursery with him at Thanksgiving, and he loved it. Well, the very next morning I woke up and he said, you know what, I will give you $25 if you walk back up to that place with me again. Every day he would ask who wanted to walk up to Coleman's with him, and he said that he'd pay us $25 if we'd walk up there. So every day during that visit, we walked up to Coleman's nursery with him. He was probably here for about 4 or 5 days, and I probably made a good $2 because every time he wanted to go, he gave me $25. And I think that's where our love of Coleman's nursery really started.
The feel of things at Coleman's nursery was so warm. That is just the thought that comes to my mind when I think about the way that it felt, because it could be a cold winter night, but as soon as you walked in there, you felt warm. And I don't know whether it was the lighting that was there or just the scenery itself that just made you feel like you were in a fantasy land. Oh, Winter Wonderland.
It was just so festive. I mean, everything about it was just Christmas.
It had a warm feeling to it, and throughout the entire layout, when you were in there, it was just very warm and inviting.
You knew Christmas started when Coleman's was set up and ready. You would get there was always music playing, there was popcorn, it just smelled like Christmas, it sounded like Christmas. It was very much a community event. You saw everybody. You saw anywhere from friends to families to church members. It was fun. It was a great place. It was more than just a one-time event. You went several times during the holidays. You would walk around looking at all the different things. I especially liked the ones where it had all the old-timey set rooms with the ladies in the long dresses, and there was a time when I thought that would have been a fun time to live. Not so much now.
I think the favorite one, the display that I had, was the one of Santa in the bed sleeping. He would be sleeping until December 24th. We would always want to, my sister and I, we were really close in age, we would always look for that sleeping Santa, and we would go and just stand and just watch him sleeping.
Well, of course, as a kid, my favorite section was the candy store. You know, I mean, they just had the coolest candies, from, rock candy that you didn't see anywhere except for at Coleman's, to, Christmas items that were made out of jellies and things like that. It was just fun. The Christmas store was, and we always had to do that last. So you had to walk around, and then finally you could run down the little cobblestones to the Christmas candy store.
A lot of the stuff that they sold there, you could never find it anywhere else, and it was not usually around except at Christmas time at Coleman's.
At the time, it was the only place you could buy candy sticks, like 10 for $1 candy sticks. That was a big deal. But I think too, I liked the center display when you were walking up, and there was the train station that they had a long time ago across the street, and then there was just that center. It was a little tiny display, but it was just that's where your excitement started to grow, as you then saw that and then you knew what was coming your way.
I would really have to say that my favorite display would have been the nativity scene.
Probably my favorite display was, I love the nativity scene that they had out back.
Oh, the fabulous nativity out back with the ornate costumes and baby Jesus sleeping.
The other thing that I think was wonderful about Coleman's Nursery, and what Coleman's Nursery was, not only did you hear Christmas and you could smell Christmas and you just felt Christmas when you were walking through there, it didn't matter what kind of chaos was going on. If you walked outside to the manger scene, it was always quiet.
There was something about the way that you walked out into that courtyard atmosphere that was quiet, it was serene, just a breathtaking experience, even as a child.
And I just remember, you know, my mom and dad saying to us as a kids, now when we go out here, you have to be quiet.
They had such beautiful music playing in the background, and the volume of it, the only way I could describe it would be perfect, because it allowed you to concentrate on the nativity scene, but also hear the choir music singing in the background and really help you remember what Christmas was all about.
Especially those years that it was cold outside, it just made, you know, kind of imagining what that nativity scene was really like back in the day. Another thing I loved was I called them the crazy clowns.
The clowns, the big clowns that came out of the box.
It was like, why the clowns? What is? My sister hates clowns. She's terribly, deathly afraid of clowns. The 14-foot blowing up clown had to be the center of every nightmare of Portsmouth kids growing up.
They were kind of, yeah, they were a little weird.
They always scared other little kids, but I thought it was hilarious.
I have never had problems with clowns.
I think that is the most disturbing display with the clowns. I am so not a clown person to this day, but I remember, you know, walking through there and just absolutely running out of there screaming like, oh my gosh, because that one just kind of puffed up and got bigger and bigger.
They were so big, and they would come out and they would just kind of hang, and then they would go back in.
They seemed a little evil to me. They were kind of fun to see at Christmas time. Another thing I really remember was they always had a roaring fireplace in the Coleman room, and they would have cider and stuff in there, and that was just kind of a neat gathering place.
The Coleman room was really just a big reception hall, but you could get hot cider in there. I totally remember that. You could get hot cider, and it was just a place to gather. It was also warm. When it would get cold, and the majority of Coleman's nursery was not heated. I mean, it was a nursery, for goodness sakes, and it was outside a lot of it, but it was always warm in there. There was a fireplace in there. It was always warm in there. So you would go in there and you'd get your cup of cider, and you could get warm real quick. But a lot of organizations did have meetings or banquets or annual little get-togethers in the Coleman room.
It was a beautiful room, and I will say that that's also where we decided, my husband and I decided to have our reception after our wedding rehearsal. After wedding rehearsal dinner, and I'd forgotten all about that, to be honest with you.
When I was in high school, it was a very big deal that if you were going to go to Coleman's, you had a date. You know, it was very important to get that date, you know, while you were in high school to Coleman's during, you know, the Christmas season. So you definitely wanted to be checked out up there. It was kind of cold, so it gave you a good reason to hold hands or to snuggle up against him, or you just had to have a date for Coleman's. It was just one of those things that was all about the season. It had to have been New Year's Eve 1983. I was invited to a New Year's Eve party, and I was a junior in high school. I wasn't allowed to drive because it was New Year's Eve. So my parents were driving me to a friend's house to a New Year's Eve party, and we came up Cedar and were parked at the stoplight, and when we looked over, my dad said, oh, there's a fire, and Mom and I both looked, and Coleman's was on fire. The fire station, which was right beside Coleman's nursery, had not been called yet. It had not been dispatched yet. They were not even out of the gate yet. And so my dad, being the kind of person that he is, put the car in park, ran out in the middle of High Street and started directing traffic. And then about that time, the fire station got wind of it, or got a call. Yeah, and the sirens came, and then as soon as the fire trucks and the police cars got there, we left and they took over. But that was always the big thing, is that we got there before the fire station did, and the fire station's right next door.
I can remember that my mom called the minister, because our minister lived right behind Coleman's nursery, and my mom called the minister's wife and was talking to her, asking her what all the sirens were for, and she looked out the back window of their house, the parsonage, and saw the flames coming up, and she said, oh my goodness, I think Coleman's nursery's on fire.
And everybody was wondering how bad was the damage, you know, what was salvaged, what was saved. And you know, I gotta admit, at that time it had become such a tradition for our family. I worried about it too, because my kids, they were getting to the age now where they knew what we were doing and they were excited about going, and I was thinking, man, what's going to happen when they're not able to go anymore?
We were determined to go back as soon as they opened up and go view it, and it was wonderful the way that they had recreated it.
And I remember when, when Coleman's ultimately closed down and it died, and I had no idea what was going to happen to the stuff.
We almost wanted to cry when we knew that Coleman's wasn't going to be there anymore, because, we're talking decades, of going and traveling and seeing all of the stuff there.
Once my brothers we were all grown up and my brothers had children, and we would get back together for our family Christmas. We would make it a tradition, if the family Christmas was in the Tidewater area, we would make it a family tradition to take the nieces and nephews, their children, over there to Coleman's nursery. And on the last year that they were open, we definitely all piled in the cars. In fact, we even made Christmas at my house in Chesapeake that year so that we could go to Coleman's nursery and see their display one last time before they closed up.
I do think the last season they were open, we went several times. And we got an ornament. We have an ornament for our Christmas tree that we put up every year, and we have certain ornaments that the boys know that I hang certain ornaments, and I get to hang the Coleman's ornament every year.
I hang this on my Christmas tree every year now, and it says right at the bottom, Coleman's Nursery. So, and it just brings back some wonderful memories whenever I pull that out of the box and hang it on the Christmas tree.
So my dad is Luke McCoy, and my dad absolutely loves the city of Portsmouth. Everything that it is, everything that it has to offer. And so Coleman's was just that added piece of Portsmouth that he loved. And my dad always would find whatever excuse to go up to Coleman's during the Christmas season too. And so I think that and knowing that we lived just in, a neighborhood right down the street, so not only did we get to go, but we would always walk up as a family, which made it special.
In the late summer of 2003, when Floyd Twyford and Dabney Morgan and Hezzy called me and said they'd like to sit down and talk to me about the Coleman collection. And certainly it was something that we wanted to make happen, but I guess the most important part is, how do you make something like that happen without the taxpayers paying the burden or taking the burden of that expense?
Mr. McCoy came to the Portsmouth Museums Foundation in our meeting in November of 2003 and confronted us to say, you or the organization that can fundraise, they can purchase this, and they can keep it in Portsmouth. And that is exactly what we want to do. There were a number of groups across the country that were very interested in the collection.
There were two cities in upstate New York that came down, looked at it, and wanted to purchase.
The foundation members mulled over it for a short time, and I say short, and we said, yes, we're the ones to do it. We can put it in a museum. At that point, we didn't know what museum, but we could put it in a museum and move forward and bring the collection back. So in January of 2004, the papers were signed between the Coleman Group at that time, and it became ours.
I guess as I look back, almost 40 years now, some of the fondest memories that I had prior to coming to work for the city of Portsmouth was taking my children to Coleman's nursery, certainly at Christmas time, and visiting what they called Winter Wonderland. And the nicest part of my career was, who would have ever thought that a person that visited Coleman's nursery as a young man that would later become the city manager and play a major part of helping our city council and helping our museum foundation to acquire one of the most notable icons in the state of Virginia.
And in 2004, the holidays of 2004, we opened with a grand opening under tents, and everybody was invited, and thus we kicked off the new Winter Wonderland.
I love that that's part of my dad's legacy, I think, to the city, is making sure that part of our city is kept alive. I think it's a great thing that the small parts of Coleman that could be reproduced were reproduced and kept in Portsmouth. And I do think that that's an important thing for future generations to be able to have a little taste of it.
The nativity scene was a major part of the Coleman collection, and as many that grew up here know, the nativity scene kind of used to sit on Cedar Lane, and everybody enjoyed going to see it. When the foundation purchased the collection and it was going to go on city property, it was a decision was made by a number of parties that the nativity scene would not be a part of the collection. So we went out and in fundraising mode once again, because we were in the middle of fundraising for the new Children's Museum, the Portsmouth Museum's Foundation raised all the money to purchase the collection, including the nativity scene from Coleman, Inc. And we were very fortunate that Monumental Methodist Church on Dinwiddie Street was very interested in purchasing it and putting it on their property during the holidays. And it is now in their chapel area, and we encourage all of our visitation to Winter Wonderland to walk 1 block over to Dinwiddie Street and see the nativity scene. Monumental did a wonderful job of rebuilding it, and it's absolutely beautiful, and it's a stunning moment to walk in and see that nativity scene.
I'm glad that the city is able to, have a place that future generations can come and see some of the Coleman's pieces.
So something that I'm hoping that my kids, that they'll probably bring them down and walk them through and say, yeah, your granddad took me to Coleman's when I was a little kid.
It's good to see something that one generation has enjoyed, and then it's passed right down to the next generation, and you're actually seeing yourself through them now. And I just think that's so amazing to be able to see something like that passed down from generation to generation.
When we return to Portsmouth Now, we'll look at some more holiday events coming up here in Portsmouth, so stay tuned. Welcome back to this very special holiday episode of Portsmouth Now. Well, it's Saturday morning, and as you can see, the Old Town Farmers Market is set up here at the intersection of Court Street and High Street around the old 1846 courthouse. They'll be here every Saturday morning through December 22nd. And on the afternoon of Saturday, December 8th, from 12 noon to 5 p.m., this part of town will be ringing with the sounds of the Old Town Holiday Music Festival. The festival is now in its 15th year, and they feature all sorts of music from carolers, carols, country, jazz, bluegrass. They even had Elvis imitators here in the past. One of the groups that's been participating for the last several years are the Open Door Singers, and they're here now to share with us a traditional holiday carol.
Here we come a-wassailing among the leaves so green. Here we come a-wandering so fair to be seen. Love and joy come to you, and to you your wassail too. And God bless you and send you a happy new year. And God send you a happy new year. We are now daily beggars and beg from door to door, but we are neighbors' children whom you have seen before. Love and joy come to you, and to you your wassail too. And God bless you and send you a happy new year. And God send you a happy new year. Good master and good mistress, as you sit by the fire, pray think of us poor children and wander in the mire. Love and joy come to you, and to you your wassail too. And God bless you and send you a happy new year. And God send you a happy new year. God bless the master of this house, likewise the mistress too, and all the little children that round the table go. Love and joy come to you, and to you your wassail too. And God bless you and send you a happy new year. And God send you a happy new year.
The Open Door Singers will be back a little later in our show to perform another traditional holiday carol. Now you can hear them, as well as many, many other talented musicians, on Saturday, December 8th at the Old Town Music Festival from 12 noon to 5 p.m. As the festival starts to wind down at 5:30 p.m., it will be the annual Here Comes Santa Claus parade right up High Street. When we come back to Portsmouth Now, we're going to interview someone who, along with Santa himself, has become a big part of that parade. So stay tuned to Portsmouth Now.
Traditional light bulbs actually generate 9 times more heat than light. Switch to Energy Star light bulbs, and you'll realize just how much cash you are really burning through. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov.
Welcome back to Portsmouth Now. On Saturday evening, December 8th at 5:30, the annual Here Comes Santa Claus parade can be seen on High Street in Old Town Portsmouth. Now, besides Santa Claus, featured in that parade is the Snow Queen, otherwise known as Donna Deakins, and she'll be hosting several holiday events here in Portsmouth. I'm very honored to be joined by Donna Strother Deakins, otherwise known as the Snow Queen. Welcome, and should I call you Donna or Your Majesty?
Whatever you feel comfortable doing, Rob, that's fine.
All right. Well, tell us now, you've been coming to Old Town Portsmouth for the last 3 Christmases for various events going on here. What do you have going on this year? What are you participating in?
Well, they were kind enough to ask me to come back this year, and I'll be coming back on December the 8th during the Old Town Holiday Music Festival weekend, and I'll be having a book signing for my 2 books that came out the last couple of years, and we'll be over in the museum gift shop for that. And then that evening, December 8th, I'll be joining Santa, and we'll come by Fireboat and then the carriage ride down High Street for the Santa Parade.
So you're like the climax of the parade, or you and Santa?
Well, we'd like to think that, yes. Okay. It's certainly a fun event. And of course, by 5:30 in the evening, all the lights are on, and it's got that little chill in the air, and everyone's excited. So it was wonderful last year, and the weather holding this year, we certainly hope it's going to be a fun event.
Now, the next day, you have another event going on in the museum gift shop, in the back there, in the back room that we use for receptions and things.
Yes, we have a children's program called the Snow Queen and Friends Winter Holiday Picnic. And the Bear Queen will be there with me.
There's a Bear Queen,
There is a Bear Queen, and we'll have all kinds of bears and their friends to have a picnic with children. Ages 4 to 9 is what we're targeting our audience for this particular program. It's a fun, interactive program with music and story reading, and they're able to have a little snack with their friends. That's you know, mechanical animals, and just a lot of holiday cheer.
Tell me, how did you get started? What is your connection? Now, you were the Snow Queen at Miller and Rhodes for years, but what was your first connection with Miller and Rhodes? You're from Portsmouth?
I'm from Portsmouth. I was born in Maryview here.
Okay, I was too.
And we lived here in Craddock area during my childhood. In 1963, my father was transferred to Richmond with the telephone company, and I ended up going to high school there and the University of Richmond. And during my sophomore year at the University of Richmond, I decided that I needed a Christmas job, and so I heard about an opening as the Snow Queen at the downtown Miller and Rhodes, the flagship store. And I went down there, and I was a theater and music major, and it just seemed like a nice fit.
Nice acting job for one Christmas.
Absolutely.
And what year was this?
This was 1971.
Okay.
And I certainly didn't plan on staying for 20 years, but that's exactly what I did. Even when I was working full-time jobs and part-time jobs, I would take vacation to do this job because it's the best job in the world.
Oh, yeah. Well, now, Miller Rhodes had the reputation for decades, even before you took this job, as having the real Santa there. And you would go up there as a child, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. Everyone from Tidewater from the 50s and 60s, I think, would agree that that was the place to go to see the real Santa, because he knew your name.
Just by magic.
Just by Santa magic, and he knew your name, and it was a real family tradition to go up and visit with the real Santa at Miller and Rhodes, and to go across the street to Tallheimer's and just make a whole day of it. And that's what I did as a child. And so my first recollection was in awe of the Snow Queen, and of course the Santa I remember is the Santa of my childhood. It just brings back so many sweet memories. So I had no idea that in 1971 I would indeed become a Snow Queen. And it was
that your reign would extend this long.
It would extend, that's right, that's right.
That was fantastic.
Thank
you.
Now you have recounted all of this. You have a couple of books that you've published recently, you mentioned, and they are for sale in the museum gift shop.
Yes,
but tell us about those.
We're having a book signing on the 8th from
Okay.
2 to 4 in the gift shop. And these are my memories. It's called Christmas at Millen Roads, Memoirs of a Snow Queen. My memories, and I interviewed the Santa and elves, and we had a few other snow queens as well, and folks like you who remember coming to the store and wanting to share their memories and their wonderful photographs of their families coming through the years. It focuses on my 20 years there, 1971 to the store closed in 89. Then we took the Santa Land operation across the street to Tollheimer's for 2 years. So they closed in, unfortunately, in 1991. But it was a wonderful time, and the book also has some history about Santa and the store, and not just Christmas at Santa Land in the store, but the beautiful windows that we had, and the fawn shop, which was the little miniature shop that the children could go to and buy their Christmas presents. Bruce the Spruce was a talking Christmas tree. So many wonderful other aspects and features of the store that everyone just clamored to go to.
And it just sounds like a great gift for somebody this year, too. I mean, if you're looking to give somebody just to look back on Christmas in the 50s and 60s and 70s.
Oh, it's very nostalgic. I call it my warm and fuzzy book. I think it will take you back. And then last year, my other book came out, Santa Land on Millen Roads Christmas, which is a children's hardback book.
And it's beautiful pictures, and it's a
Thank you. Yeah, illustrated by Sandy Ball, and it's very whimsical, and it's really based on the Santa that I remember as a child. It actually takes place during World War II.
Okay.
So, but it's a fun book. Even if the children don't know anything about the store, they can relate to it. And they go on a scavenger hunt of the store, and they try to find out why the store is not very well decorated for Christmas. And they find out that Santa magic saves the day.
Okay. It sounds like, again, a great gift for kids, something to buy and read to your kids
Absolutely. And
this time of year.
if you come, I'd love to see you, and we can do photographs with the children, and also I'd be happy to sign the book.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you,
today.
Rob. It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. It really has.
Thank you.
Both of Donna Deacon's books are available here at the Gallery Shop. It's located just inside the courtyard of the Portsmouth Art and Cultural Center. So, if you come out to Winter Wonderland, be sure to drop in and have a look around. They have some great holiday gifts in there. Everything from art and jewelry to music, DVDs, books, and most of them are produced by local artists. Now, if you're looking for that perfect stocking stuffer or gift with a Portsmouth theme, be sure to visit the Visitor Center over at the Ferry Landing. We did recently, and we were impressed by the wide variety of Portsmouth-themed gifts that they have for sale. Carolyn Penny from the Portsmouth Visitor Center is with me, and she's going to tell us about Portsmouth-themed gifts that make perfect stocking stuffers. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Rob. How are you? Thanks for coming.
Good. So tell me, you have tons of things with like the Portsmouth Signia and the sails rather. And what kind of things do you have?
Well, everybody loves their city and they want to wear it on a hat, on a tote bag. We have it on our Navy bear. We have our Coast Guard bear. And of course, mugs and coasters. And they just make great gifts, not only for the holidays, but year round.
Okay, and then you have things like the little, this would be great for kids, but like the little pencil sharpeners that are like Navy ships
yes,
and
they're
battleships
so
and
cool.
things.
We're right here on the Elizabeth River, and all the aircraft carriers go down. Of course, the Naval Shipyard Museum has the great cannons, and we have pencil sharpeners that are replicas.
And when you buy those, you also get
a Portsmouth pencil for $3. I mean, best deal in town.
That's a great thing if you're looking for something to stick in a kid's stocking or to give out to kids as party favors or whatever like that.
Right.
And now you have sweatshirts and things like that too?
Yes, we have sweatshirts, t-shirts, we have the zipper up or the little hoodies, and old and young alike.
Okay, totes and things like that?
Tote bags, the sling that a lot of our young people wear.
That looks really nice.
Yeah.
That's a nice looking bag.
And the little book bags that the young people use when they go bicycling. Just anything, basically.
Okay. And then you also have books and things about Portsmouth history?
Yes, a lot of Portsmouth history, and of course, Old Town, and just everything you can imagine. All local authors, which we really love.
Okay, that's great.
And we have our Portsmouth mugs, which are great to put candy in. Give it to a coworker.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
and that's
really
a great, inexpensive gift.
Yes.
You can personalize it.
Yes.
And now here at the Visitor Center, I notice there's tons of holiday decorations up.
Yes.
This is really nice.
It's very festive in here, and our guests love it while they're buying a ferry ticket it, or when the parade is, they'll come down. We're open daily, 9 to 5. And
Is that 7 days a week?
7 days a week.
Okay, great.
The only day we're not here is Thanksgiving Day.
Well, fantastic. Well, people should stop in then and
Yes.
shop around and maybe pick up some great little gifts.
Yes, and also we have postcards.
Okay.
And I was just trying to think, the best gift, just the best gift
Real
is our
estate?
throw. Well, we have a Portsmouth throw that is absolutely
Oh, I've seen it. It's
wonderful.
beautiful. It has all the different historic
Yes.
homes and sites, things
Yes,
stitched in
and
there.
it's just comfy, and it's one of those gifts that keep on giving because
Yeah.
the Kiwanis get all the proceeds.
And that would look nice either, great to snuggle in, but also just drape over a sofa or a nice piece of furniture
Yes.
or something as a decoration.
It really is, and we get a lot of people that give it to their bosses. You know, groups in
Yeah.
the office buy it. So
Or send it to somebody maybe who's from here that's not living here, a family member's moved away, or someone
Yeah.
who's visiting or has visited and likes it.
Yes.
Like to hear.
Definitely, and everything is very reasonably priced. And of course, we do take cash, check, or charge.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay.
So stop into the visitor center and give a visit to Carolyn to look around and pick up some gifts. I'm standing in front of the New Colony Theater. It's located just next door to Winter Wonderland and right across the street from the Commodore Theater. And it is now home to the Virginia Youth Symphony Orchestra. Inside, they're decorated for the holidays and they're preparing for their holiday concerts. Well, we dropped into the New Colony Theater, and Susan Winston, the director, is here to tell us about some of the events that are going on this month. Thanks for joining us, Susan.
Well, thank you for coming over, Rob. It's nice to see you again.
Good to be here, and it's looking really Christmassy in here. All the twinkle lights everywhere, and lots of greenery.
Yes.
So what are we going to hear if we come over to the New Colony this month?
This is a perfect month to come to the New Colony Theater. We have on December 9th at 7:30 the Virginia Youth Symphony Orchestra doing a program of holiday music, which will include a couple of sing-along events.
Oh, great.
Yes.
So when is the concert, the Youth Symphony concert?
It's December 9th at 7:30.
7:30?
And tickets are $15 for general admission and $10 for seniors, kids, and military.
That sounds great. Now, I noticed you were telling me earlier that the symphony is also doing some playing outside of the theater this month. For the
Yes,
holidays.
we are very proud to be working with the Portsmouth Naval Hospital. And thanks for all the help they give us all year. We do a holiday concert at the Naval Hospital for the staff and administrators and their families.
That's great.
So it's a free concert for them.
And the musicians sometimes go around to different rooms where people can't leave?
Yes, obviously they're going to be patients who are not ambulatory.
Right.
So in order to make sure that they get some music too, small groups of musicians go and play at each pod and play in the halls outside the rooms. They don't go in to the sick rooms, but they play outside to bring a little holiday cheer to those who are not home for the holidays.
Well, that's great. That is wonderful.
Yes.
Now, you were telling me there's also another event going on here, another musical event this month.
Yes.
And what is that?
Yes. We have a concert called The Best of Both Worlds, and it's a concert by a young musician who was actually a player with the Virginia Youth Symphony when he was in 6th grade and all the way up through high school. And now he's a graduate of college with a music degree and plays the cello. He's going to do the first half of his recital of classical music.
Great.
And the second half, he'll be bringing some friends in who play other instruments, and they're going to provide a really spectacular show for the audience.
And when is that?
That's going to be December 15th.
Okay.
And there'll be information about tickets on the website. You'll be able to get them through PayPal.
Okay. Now, what is the website's address?
The website is newcolonytheater.org.
Okay, great. So they can log on there and find out what's coming up.
Yes.
All right.
There'll be tabs that have the schedule for the theater, and everything will be on there.
All right, fantastic. Thank you for having us in here today and telling us about what's going on this month.
Well, thank you so much for coming over. We're always happy to see you at the New Colony Theater.
Always glad to be here. Happy holidays.
Well, happy holidays to you, and we hope everyone has a Merry Christmas and a Happy Hanukkah and a good Kwanzaa, and that the holiday season is merry and bright.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Old Town Portsmouth is filled with beautiful historic homes. One of the more famous is the Hill House. Throughout the month of December, the Hill House is sponsoring several holiday events. I'm sitting here with David Reitz, who's head of fundraising for the Hill House, and we're in the English basement portion of the Hill House?
Correct. The house was built in 1820. It is a federal house, and this is the English basement.
And we have a tea set here, and the reason that's important is because the Hill House has been having teas recently as part of their fundraising.
Absolutely. In September, we had our first tea, and we had it out in our gardens, and we had one in October and November, and now we have one coming up in December on the 8th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And unfortunately, that tea happens to be all sold out.
Unfortunately for us, fortunately for you guys.
Yes, very fortunate for us, because all of the fundraising that we do is for the restoration of the house.
Okay.
So all the funds that we raise go directly toward all fundraising and restoration of the Hill House itself.
And now you reopened, I believe, in spring, because we were here earlier this year and we got a tour of the house, but attendance has really been up.
Absolutely. In 2008 to 2012, we had around 56 people that have come into the house.
That's amazing. That's like one person a month.
Exactly. And now from April until now, not including our large group tours, we have over 250 people that have been to the museum.
That is fantastic.
It is. So the word is getting out there. We're here to stay, and everyone who comes in our house just loves it. And it is a house that is absolutely amazing. You cannot walk into Thomas Jefferson's house and see everything original, where you can in the Hill House see everything that's original.
And it spans centuries. I mean, it like starts back in the colonial period, but you have stuff from that period all the way up to like the 1950s.
Correct. It's 4 generations of the Hill family.
Very
so each
eclectic.
one, exactly. They all had their touch on the house, so you can see the phases throughout.
Wow. Now, if we missed out the tea, there's still good news. There are 2 more events coming up in December.
Yes.
That are sort of holiday related in a sense.
Exactly.
Okay. What is the one that's, I think it takes place the same day as the tea and later in the day?
Yes, the tea is at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Again, that one's sold out. But there's a dessert auction on the 8th, also at 4 o'clock, that it doesn't cost anything to go to, and it will be in this room and in our dining room. And what will happen is all of our holiday desserts are homemade by local residents here in Old Town, and we display them, and it's a silent auction. So if you walk in and there's something that you want, a rum cake, any type of dessert when it comes to cheesecakes, fruit cakes, and you just put your bid down, and after the auction has ended, if you happen to be the highest bidder, you've won that dessert.
So if folks are over here going to Winter Wonderland or some of the other events in Old Town during that Saturday, they can just walk in and
absolutely
participate.
They can walk in,
get a great dessert.
Yeah, and take it home, and you don't have to go to the hot kitchen and make that dessert. It's already made for you.
Yeah, that's great. Now, the big deal that's happening here is on New Year's Eve.
Yes.
Now, what is that? Now, this is a first, I believe?
This is our first, and it is a fundraiser again, and it is a New Year's Eve party, and we're very excited about it because we have lots of things going on that evening. First, Bowman's Garden Center, which is the Green Bean, they're catering it for us.
Oh, wow.
So we will have lots of good things to eat.
Very good things
to eat.
Yes,
exactly. And it starts at 9 o'clock in the evening, and it goes up to 12:30. We will have a champagne toast. Also, we're going to try to transform the house a little bit more into a party mode. And we're going to have 1950s aluminum Christmas trees throughout the house. And it's a black and white theme, so they're going to be all decorated in black and white. And anyone who's coming, we encourage them to, it's not formal, but you can wear black and white. We're going to have a white elephant gift exchange that night. We're going to have a piano player playing on our 1895 piano upstairs.
With aluminum trees in the 50s.
Everywhere, yes. So we're just ready to party and have fun and ring in the new year here.
Will that be in the formal ballroom area upstairs, the formal party room?
All the guests will be greeted upstairs. So they will walk up the steps and walk into the formal part of the house, which is the parlors upstairs. Most of the food will be down here, but the party upstairs will be happening in those 2 parlors.
Okay, so people are interested in this. I know that that's close to selling out, I understand.
It is.
But you still have a few more tickets?
We have a limit of 50, and we're up to 37, so we still have some tickets available. And if anyone who is interested can either call me at 714-3223, or you can email me at frog609@cox.net. And also, too, the Hill House Museum is on Facebook.
Okay.
So you can go on our Facebook page and get all that information there, too.
All right, and all money raised from that goes into restoring the Hill House.
Absolutely, and it's $100 a ticket, and it's tax deductible, and all that money does go into the restoration of the Hill House.
Well, that sounds like it should be something that should be a lot of fun. Maybe it would just become an annual event.
We hope so, yeah.
I hope so too. Well, thanks for joining us and telling us about it.
Thanks for coming by.
Thanks. One of the newest holiday events taking place here in Portsmouth is fast becoming one of the more popular ones. On December 31st in the afternoon here in Old Town is the Old Town Scottish Walk. This is an ancient Scottish tradition that's been revived here in Portsmouth, and people are coming out in the droves to take part. Susan Healy is the founder of the Old Town Scottish Walk, and she has joined us to tell us about it this year. Thanks for joining, Susan.
Thank you for having me. It's a wonderful free event that we have on New Year's Eve in Portsmouth. A Scottish Walk is a parade that everyone is in for free. If you come, you are in the parade.
So
it's
you're
a
not
procession.
Stand off the side and watch.
Do not stand. Everyone joins in, finds themselves a place in the lineup. We gather, and then we proceed to walk through the Old Town streets and are greeted by friends and neighbors from their home porches, and then they come and join us as we walk down to the waterfront. And
well, where does it start in Old Town?
We start behind St. Paul's Church and Monumentals Church at Washington Street.
Okay.
And we just gather in the parking lots, and their parking is all free. And then we proceed from there up through the Old Town.
Okay, so where does this originate from? In Scotland, I suppose. But I mean, how far back does the tradition go in Scotland, and what were the specifics about it?
Great. In the very ancient days, the Scots believed that this was the time of year to come down and thank their townspeople, to wish their town good luck, to drive away evil and bring in good spirits for the new year. So it's actually a celebration called Hogmanay.
Is that like haggis, the food?
It is not translatable. They have several speculations of whether it's a French term or whether it is some configuration. But the townspeople would gather up in the hillsides with torches and a bottle of single malt, and they would go from door to door and gather their neighbors, come down to the town center. They would hold hands and they would sing Auld Lang Syne, and they would wish their townspeople good luck, thank the town for the past year, and drive out evil spirits, bring in the new.
So have you come across many evil spirits here in Old Town?
There are a few. I did the Old Town Ghost Walk this last Halloween. But the interesting thing is that the spirit of coming down and thanking your town and putting a blessing on it for the new year has been carried into today, where even now we have the New York ball drop and we sing Auld Lang Syne, and people do the same traditional arm cross, hold hands.
And all that's Scottish.
All from the Scottish tradition.
Now, originally Norfolk, these were Scottish towns, weren't they originally? I mean, I read one place years ago that like Norfolk in colonial times was one of the largest highly condensed Scottish populations on earth outside of Scotland.
True. Andrew Sproul, who started the shipyard, Gosport Shipyard, was Scottish. Some of the very first rectors, Braidfoot at the Trinity Episcopal Church, were from Scotland. And during the war, the great schism with England, the Scots Highlanders actually took over the homes on Crawford Street and wore their Scottish kilt, and they were the ones who actually attacked Norfolk, and the reason Norfolk was burnt and why we have an Old Town to this day. Lord Dunmore was in charge of the Scottish troops here.
Wow, that's fascinating.
So we have a group of reenactors that we honored 2 years ago in the walk, and they actually wear the same traditional Highland Regiment outfit that was worn in Portsmouth during that time.
Wow.
And they've taken on the identities.
Now, there's music in the walk, too.
Yes.
I mean, so you have Scottish instruments being played. I think of bagpipes, but there's more to it than that in there.
Yeah, we have what we call a massed band, which is a traditional among the Scottish games and things here in the States. We let anybody who plays pipes and anybody who plays drums come and join together and play that evening. And then afterwards, we have the Scottish Dance Theatre of Virginia Beach donates music and Highland dancers at Roger Brown's.
Wow.
And then I've had everything from pipers to fiddlers at Barron's Pub. We've gone to Griff's. We've gone to several of the other venues in town and offer free music. There's no charge to the restaurants. The It's all provided free.
So is this before the walk, after
It is
the walk?
afterwards.
So basically New Year's Eve, you can go around and hear Scottish music
All
live.
over the town.
That's fantastic.
Right.
So tell us now, when does this start this year?
All right, we start gathering, lining up about 4 o'clock behind the churches on Washington Street. And we step off sometime about the time the pipers are ready and the guns, we usually have the signal cannons going off. And then we just take a nice, easy walk down to the waterfront. If anyone is handicapped, we have antique Land Rovers. Or you may ride. It just drive your car along with us if you have a problem walking. We've had people in wheelchairs, strollers. We have contingents of people who like to walk dogs. We have church groups that come.
Basically, if you're on the street, you can get swept up in all this.
Yes, absolutely.
That's the idea, I guess.
One of our favorite groups is the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts come because Lord Baden-Powell of Scotland founded Scouting.
Okay.
So they come and they use it as a project because they walk back on the route and pick up any trash that has been dropped so that we're not charged for trash cleanup.
Okay, well, that sounds like a great, really unique way and something that has some historical roots here in Hampton Roads.
Definitely does.
Wow. Okay, and now the music, I understand that we're going to hear now some Scottish musicians
absolutely.
play for us.
We have a young fellow, a little Colin, who is a phenomenal little fiddler that we've been toting around with us, and he's been playing with me on some things. And I brought some Celtic instruments, and yes.
Great, all right. Well, okay, that's the Scottish Walk. It's New Year's Eve. Check it out. And now we're going to hear some Scottish music. Thanks for joining us for this very special holiday episode of Portsmouth Now. To find out more about any of the events we feature on today's show, or any of the other dozens of holiday events taking place throughout the month of December here in Portsmouth, simply log on to www.portsvaevents.com and then come to Portsmouth, where if you give us a day, we'll give you a vacation.